Hi everyone, and welcome to Business 101. I'll be your TA for the semester. My name is Shoaib Haroon. I'm actually a finance major within the College of Business, and I'm also minoring in computer science, so I do have somewhat of a unique background if you have any questions for the future. Just wanted to let you guys know that. I will be your TA for the entire semester, and just to recap some things that we did talk about earlier in the Deloitte Auditorium, I really want you guys to get a good understanding of what really the core of Business 101 is and why we really want to get you situated so that you can feel fully prepared for your upcoming college career as well as beyond that. So I'm actually going to dive into what Module 1 is there for. Module 1 is kind of the foundation and building block for the rest of this course. And that's true solely because what you're going to do with Module 1 is you will be figuring out your strengths, your weaknesses, finding out ways to market yourself, and get into different organizations, whether it be as an intern or full-time professional, and then you can move on from there to actually having that organizational responsibility, your professional responsibility, beyond that, and then also social responsibility between modules 2 and 3. I just want to go over some expectations that I do have for the class as a whole. I'm very big on punctuality, so I do expect you guys to be here on time. The saying goes, on time is early is on time is late. So just keep that in mind when you are trying to make it to things, not only for this class, but in any business aspect. In terms of, for example, an interview, it's good to be there 10 to 15 minutes early. I mean, I'll get into all this later, but just things to keep in the back of your head. I understand that sometimes things can come up for assignments when they're due and you might not be able to make the deadline. However, I would like at least 24-hour warning for that, and I would like a good explanation. I am going to be fairly strict on what will qualify as an excuse or not, and if you have more questions about that, feel free to ask. And I will take, I will be understanding about it, but I am expecting you guys to meet the deadline. Finally, participate. You're going to get out of this what you put into it. If you're just going to sit there and not really participate as much as some of the other students, you might not be able to ask the questions that you have, and then that might lead to you not being able to really get as much out of the class as you can. At this point, I would have time for questions for the students, letting them ask me based off the expectations I gave, and then the recap of Module 1, what questions they have. I then go into the icebreaker, which is on my lesson plan. However, for the sake of time, I'm actually going to jump into what I want to do for resumes, and I'm actually just going to do a brief overview of why resumes are important, and then I'll explain the activity as well. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that icebreaker. What we're going to do now is we're actually going to go ahead and talk about resumes. Now, I know you're here as a business student, your ultimate goal is to get into the professional world, to get an internship, to get a job, whatever the case may be. Now, the main way to do that basically the key to this gateway that will lead you to the professional world is going to be your resume. Your resume is going to let you show off what you've done in college or in high school up to this point. It will allow you to establish your strengths and weaknesses, and it will show a company what you can do, what you're capable of doing in the future, and what you hope to give back to an organization if you haven't already done so. If you haven't already done so in the past. Keep in mind that there are different formats to the way a resume can look in business. Usually you want to keep it to one page. Margins can change depending on how much you want to put in there. Make sure that the font is readable and it's not too tiny that the recruiter might have to sit there and gaze at it with a magnifying glass or anything like that. Again, at this point I would go into my activity, which is it's called Resume Home Makeover Edition. I'd give them an example of a bad resume. They would have time to discuss that, and then I would come back into the discussion asking for things that they came up with a bad resume. At this point, I would facilitate discussion by asking students what they thought was bad, having a list already written out for myself as well to see if they caught those. Some problems that will be on there are a very hard to read font, smaller font than is necessary, missing dates, not having it in chronological order, and then a ton of other problems that make the resume look very unprofessional. I will then hand out the good resume, which will have all these problems fixed, and then I'll see if maybe there's still something that they notice that I personally haven't noticed that might stick out to them, that might not seem as useful to them. Finally, I will close the class with some with the assignments from next week. So, I hope that home makeover resume makeover edition was really helpful to you. Keep in mind that there's a lot of little nitpicky things on your resume that may not seem important to you, but to a recruiter, the smallest typo might disqualify you from an internship. So always get it critiqued, not just this semester, not just after having it made, but constantly get it critiqued, especially before each career fair. Speaking of which, that the career fair is coming up soon, so in order to get prepared, I would like you guys to have your draft of a resume ready for next week, and then on top of that, you'll have to register for Resume Bonanza. That's basically an event put on through Business Career Services, which I talked about earlier. And all you have to do is go on Simplicity, sign up, and you should already be registered for Simplicity as well. If you have any questions at this point about the assignments, how to go about it, let me know. I can either stay a little bit longer after class, or we have a few minutes left, so if there's anything you want to ask, go ahead.